The final fight in Doom Eternal can be extremely overwhelming when you first start out. Even though the mechanics are laid out for you prior to the fight and really easy to understand, the environment you're in as well as the quick buildup of enemies around you can make it really difficult to place any attention or focus towards the boss. Once you've spent enough time within the encounter to become familiar with the boss's movements and attacks as well as the points on his body that you're supposed to damage, the fight becomes much more trivial. If you're the kind of person who would rather just watch the fight to see an example of how to do it while piecing the rest together yourself, you can skip to the timestamp that's on the screen now or click it in the description. For everyone else, I've got some tips and advice that hopefully help you out and lessen the struggle that you may have within this fight. First and foremost, I understand it's highly likely that throughout your time played up until this point, you've probably developed a playstyle that works for you. You've probably become used to a particular style of movement, a way in which you rotate through your weapons, as well as the runes you like using, suit upgrades you make use of, and which weapon variants you prefer. I don't want to change that. You shouldn't really have to change your playstyle much to make this fight work, but if you are struggling, I do recommend you consider swapping your equipment and runes to better favor your survivability. That being said, the combat you've grown used to is nearly irrelevant within this fight. The biggest strength this encounter has against you, like most encounters in the game, is its ability to overwhelm you. If you are finding yourself struggling in this fight, the best thing you can do is simplify your behavior within it. The biggest tip I have here for doing that will sound ridiculous, but in my testing it provided by far the largest decrease in difficulty versus anything else I tried. And that tip is to ignore the enemies. Do not waste your time engaging in fights or even worrying about what's coming at you. Try to remain focused on the boss and what pieces you have remaining to destroy, but make sure you do not stop moving and definitely don't stay in any given area for too long. Instead, make large and efficient loops around the area to keep enemies further off your trail and stay on top of your resources. I promise that you will find it can work wonders for you. For the record, that's what I'm doing in the gameplay you're seeing within this video, which is on the Ultra Violence difficulty, but it still works just as well on Nightmare 2. The enemies within this encounter are there to fuel your fight, not to take away from it. In both areas for this fight, there is endless ammo for your sword, and while moving around the map, make sure to learn and hit the energy spawns for it. Definitely do not ever let your sword energy run out. When a large enemy is too close for comfort, a hit of the sword will delete them and provide you with some health as well. By now, you've probably also developed a strong habit of chainsawing the little guys on sight to keep your ammo counts up. You should more than ever make sure that you're staying on top of that here too. Again, I'm not trying to alter your whole playstyle, but if you were able to combine freezing enemies with the Ice Bomb suit mod that provides health and setting fire to them before initiating your chainsaw or sword attack, it will make everything a lot easier for you. You'll have a consistent and relatively effortless source of health, armor, and ammunition, which will allow you to plow through the boss quite easily. Another thing that can make a pretty big difference within this fight is maintaining an awareness of which body parts you've destroyed or what's left to destroy, as well as predetermining which weapons you will use for which parts and where you will attack each part from. Having these decisions made prior to the fight means you will not have to make them while also being under pressure to survive and maintain your resources. It can make a huge difference. It's of course quicker and more efficient to be closer to the part of the body that you're attacking when you're trying to lay the damage down, but you will always almost be more vulnerable than if you were further away with more distance or better cover. Being closer to the boss also gives you the advantage of having more weapon variety, since projectile travel times can be pretty brutal at the further ranges. I'm not going to assume you've got bottomless missiles for your heavy cannon, but they are a really great option for dishing out tremendous damage when you're close up. After playing against the boss for a while, I also developed a near permanent habit of using the ballista on the boss from wherever I happen to be. Since the shoulders and arms are smaller areas and are more difficult to hit due to their movement, the ballista is great for targeting those areas, and it's an awesome way to make use of the time you spend farther away from the boss. Again, just make sure you're staying on top of the ammo generation and everything will be so much smoother. The BFG is obviously your most powerful tool here, but sometimes it's hard to make your shots count. I like to use the limited BFG ammo on the boss's big areas like his head and his chest. Getting as close as you can is your best bet at landing your hits, but chances are pretty high that some shots will miss or hit already destroyed areas, and that's okay. The BFG just helps to speed things up a bit and potentially save you some time. If all else fails and you are still struggling within this fight, try to simply move around and survive in the arena while mostly ignoring the boss. Just focus on your movement and staying alive while sorting your way through the big dudes and using your chainsaw when available on the smaller guys and staying stocked on ammo, health, and armor the best you can. It shouldn't take long to become comfortable doing this while easily taking repeatable loops through the arenas and dodging damage. At that point you can start sneaking attacks in on the boss here and there, and you'll be on your way to defeating him. The more time you spend alive in the environments they give you here, and the more familiar you become with the spawns of items crucial to your survival, the better you are becoming at handling this encounter. You'll most likely be surprised with how quickly you become proficient at it. And look on the bright side, at least there aren't marauders in the fight. Anyway, that is pretty much it for this video. I tried to keep it pretty general while also giving you the tools to have an easier time here, so I hope to have hit some key points that make a difference for you. If you'd like to see a commentary-free example of both parts of this fight, you can just keep watching the video and it will play. I'm being rather aggressive in it, but you should be able to see the principles I covered here in action. I really hope this has helped some of you out there. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.
and you will be their savior. Your strength will be their shield, and your will their sword. You remain unbroken, for your fight is eternal.